this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a card just using the brand new Holly and Ivy frames from the John Next Door Christmas Collection 2021. I love this frame. You've basically got, I'll show you through the dies, a beautiful outline die which cuts circles all the way around, giving you a really nice sort of 5-inch plate. Then you've got the die that cuts the Holly and Ivy frame into it, so you've sort of got a tunnel going through. You've got a second die again with little dots in it, but this has been scaled down to fit in the middle, either for a sentiment or to create a frame for that to sit on. Then you have the sentiment, which is Love at Christmas, and a selection of separate pieces of holly that you can use to decorate around the piece. And this is what we're going to use to make a beautiful Christmas card. So I'm going to start with here. I've got a piece of just plain black card of about a 300 GSM, just to hold the strength nicely. And I'm going to use the Holly and Ivy frame and place it into place. Now, the piece of card I've cut is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. This is so that you can get a really good border around it, and also 5 3/4 inches is half of an A4, meaning that you'll get a really nice cut from it. So I'm just going to run it through my Kaleido. All of the dies in this set will fit through your Kaleido and your A5 machines, so it's relatively simple to cut. And again, if you want to, you can rotate the die should you need to, as they're all square if your machine doesn't quite get the edges. So I'm going to pop all of that out and take the pieces away, but I've got a piece already cut here just to speed it up slightly. So here's the frame when it's actually being cut, and I'll swap my board over, lovely and clean as you can see, just so you can see it a little bit better, this time against the pink. But you've got all this Holly and Ivy repeating going into the corners, and you've even got, just take that piece out, sort of gaps in the middle of the holly, again, so it doesn't look too blocky or blobby. I like a die cut to look relatively delicate. So for something quick and simple, we're going to use Mica Magic. I'm actually using a new one that will be out very soon, and I'm going to use this beautiful gold from in here. Just take a little bit on my fingers, and this is what I love about die cutting as opposed to sort of electronic cutting or punching. The way that the die actually works is it chamfers the edge, so it gives you a raised area. So if you can see, the colour is picking up brighter around the edge. You're seeing that it's actually quite 3D. So I'm just using a finger. The Mica Magic is perfect for this, straight from the palette onto your finger, permanent onto the card, and of course you can blend the colours or anything else with this. So I'm going around just with gold, and it gives it a really almost expensive metallic look, as if it's sort of old metal. So there we go, just go around that. Once I'm happy with that and it's all done, what I'm then going to do, I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to add some foam tape on the back, because I'm going to pop this over a raised background. Now, the card I'm making is in black and gold, so I've used plain black and then the vintage gold satin and gloss card from Craft Artist, which comes together in a pack. So I get that difference of shiny and sort of a matte satin look. So I'll just do that. There we go. And then what I've done for the background is I've taken a piece of the matte card and I've just embossed it. This is with the tartan embossing folder, which comes with the John Next Door box kit from Practical Publishing. So I've just embossed this. This is actually a piece left over from a frame that I've made for this card, but it just adds that little bit of extra texture behind. But again, with this technique, you could put vellum behind it and pop some lights in there. There's lots of different ways you can really decorate this. You can ink through the stencil, but for more inspiration, have a look on the Facebook group. So I'm just going to place that in the middle. There we go. So you can see I've got that level of sort of black and gold. Okay. So I'm now going to frame that. So what I've got here is I've just made some frames using the press cut stitch dot and plain squares, and I've made these again in the black and the 2 types of gold, so it really pops. And we're just going to frame that. As soon as you frame it, you lose all of that connection, so you lose what holds it in place, so it does look as if it's floating almost like a forest, and you could use this all year round. So really simple. Okay, so we'll pop that onto a card blank, and the card blank I'm using is an 8x8. So it's a simple square 8x8 card in black, but obviously you can resize to whatever you want. But I like to have that extra little piece around the edges. So all we need to do now is really finish this off. So I'm going to use the other dies in the set, and using the smaller piece, I've cut that into the black. So what I want to do again, use a little bit of the Mica Magic, and I just want to go around the edge. This is the other thing I love about using Mica Magic. With a gilding wax, once it's on, it's on. So you'll get those lines, but with the Mica Magic, you can blend it. So I'm now going around the edges and blending it into the center, so that I get, again, that aged sort of metal look. So just taking it from the edge and blending it into the center. Because it's a dry product, you don't get that creamy look. I can take a little bit more. And again, so I've gone a bit heavy, that's fine. We'll just blend it out. A little bit more, just around the edges. Really make those edges quite pop. And again, I've added some foam tape onto here. I'm going to pop that evenly in the center. And then I'm going to use the With Love at Christmas. So I've got a piece again left over from the frame. So we'll just, in fact, what I'll do is I'll pop that in the middle just in case I want to use it for another frame. And I'll run that through. And again, really simple to cut. It is quite detailed, so I would use a shim in this, certainly as I'm cutting it in the middle of a piece of card. So I'll bring our machine in, and this would fit through all of your tiny machines like your Spellbinders Prism and things like that. Give it 2 or 3 goes. But it's all held together, so it looks delicate, but don't worry, it's not too delicate. So pop that out, as we can see. Sits perfectly within the die, and we'll just use one of the release holes to pop that out and take the little pieces out. And I think this has a really expensive look, and you could decorate this card with more. You could actually add onto it more of the holly around the corners or the borders, but I like the simplicity. And again, this is quite a speedy card. Certainly if you don't add the frames, if you just did it flat, you could make really quick, effective Christmas cards that are different than anything you'll get in the shops. So you can see there, we can just finish that with Love at Christmas. So for speed, I'm going to give it a quick spray with my spray glue, and I use Craft Mount by 3M. And we'll just have that in the middle. Love at Christmas, and there we go. Something very simple but effective, with the sentiment in the middle, which just pulls together that holly and ivy.